And the first place to start talking about App Engine is just to do like Golang App Engine and see what comes up. So what is App Engine? So if you look at Google, sorry, I need to step back. Google Cloud. Google Cloud Computing, Hosting, and you have these different things here. Compute, App Engine, Compute Engine, Container Engine, Storage, Big Data, Services. So different storage. We have Cloud Storage, Cloud Data Store, NoSQL, schemaless data storage. Cloud SQL. Cloud Storage is just Google Cloud Storage, and that would be like for images and files and videos. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like you've got a big hard drive somewhere, dump files into it.
Big hard drive. And then there's some big data things you could use, and different services. And then App Engine's right here. Compute Engine, how does this translate to IIS, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS? App Engine's PaaS, right? Yes. Compute Engine is, what's the one where Container Engine is just in between IaaS and...
No, I think Container Engine's just
PaaS, right?
Compute engines.
Pre-made compute engines?
Yeah.
Which is just the straight, here's your box. That's Compute Engine?
I believe so, yes.
So this is infrastructure as a service.
Basically the same as what we've got from DigitalOcean.
Right? I'm just looking to see if they have infrastructure as a service. So you just could get a machine and you could configure it.
Same as DigitalOcean, except DigitalOcean is cheaper.
Scalable, high-performance virtual machines. So sometimes that's referred to as infrastructure as a service. They're selling you the service of infrastructure, the hardware, the servers. Okay?
Network and all that.
And then we have Container Engine. Run Docker containers on Google Cloud Platform, powered by Kubernetes.
So Docker is basically, you use Docker to basically pre-configure every bit of software you want installed on something. And then you can throw it onto Container Engine, and they'll deal with the OS as needed, and then load up your Docker containers on top of it. And that way they can update whatever underlying computer as much as they want. But your stuff still works because you're saying this is how you configure a new instance of my machine.
So with Compute Engine, you got to worry about Linux and all that stuff. On Container Engine, you don't have to worry about that. You just upload your container junk that you want to run. Is that right?
Yeah. So you'd say, here's how to download and install Go. Here's how to get my server code off of GitHub. Here's how to install and run it.
So that's the same like IaaS, right?
So
yeah, compute OS and the hardware.
So yeah, Compute Engine would be the infrastructure of the service. They just give you the client machine. You can do whatever you want with it. Container as a service, they might be flipping out the machine underneath you. You just give them the instructions on how to configure stuff that you need configured, no matter what machine they end up being using.
They can change the hardware.
Yeah, so they can deal with a bunch of stuff in the background, like keeping updates and up and running. Whereas with Compute Engine, you would have to run the updates yourself.
I've heard Container Engine described as being between IaaS and PaaS.
What's PaaS?
Platform as a service. And so App Engine's platform as a service.
So question?
Yeah, so Compute Engine is it's basically all the tools and infrastructure you need. You just have to build it yourself.
Yeah, Compute Engine's basically the same as the DigitalOcean, where they give you, here's your IP address and your root login. You got a Linux machine, SSH into it, do whatever you want.
And the Container Engine, they take some of that load off of you, but you still have to...
Yeah, so with Container Engine, you'll say, okay, I need to make sure I have at least this version of Go installed, and I have to have at least this version of Git installed, and here's some command line commands you want to execute when you first create my machine. And then they can have whatever Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, Mac, Windows Server, whatever, and they know, okay, here's how to set up your specific stuff on it.
So you can say that Compute Engine is more like having all the ingredients to make a sandwich, whereas a Container Engine is like going to Subway.
No, App Engine's like going to Subway.
Yep, App Engine's like going to Subway.
It's
So-
all about control. Do you want to control every aspect of your server, or are you not that bothered and you just want it to be there?
Pretty much. So, App Engine would be like going to Subway and buying a sandwich. Compute Engine would be like owning your own store. You've got every ingredient ever. And then Container Engine would be like, okay, you just have the ingredients for your sandwich.
Or actually,
Owning your own
actually-
store, but
actually-
somebody else runs it.
Yeah.
Actually, wouldn't it be more apt to say that compute engine is more like growing your own ingredients, and a container engine is having those ingredients, and app engine is going to Subway.
I
Pretty
think
much,
the real idea is, do
Yeah.
you get the concept behind these, so we
Yeah.
don't have to fight about
Analogies.
Subway. I'm hungry. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm hungry.
Yeah, it is about that time, isn't it?
But we've got one on campus.
So Compute Engine's virtual machines. App Engine is you're running on their computers, their hardware, and there's a lot of things they've added in to sort of let you build and deploy apps, build web and mobile apps that scale automatically. Okay. So in that our framework thing, it's the PaaS one. What's an example of SaaS, software as a service? That would be like
Software as a service. would be-
Salesforce.com
Software
or
as a
something.
service would be like going out and buying an and getting an Apache on your computer.
All right. So that's App Engine, and you could go here for App Engine, and they have a quick start. Hello world in 5 minutes, and blah blah blah. Here are the contents. Download App Engine SDK for Go. So you're going to download this SDK for Go. Max 64 right here. So you download that and install it. SHA-1 checksum.
So they got it for a bunch of languages. Make sure you're in the Go
Yeah.
category.
I'm just looking here. What do we have? App Engine SDK for PHP, App Engine SDK for Go. So you get that, and then create a simple HTTP handler. So what's different about this code from what we've been doing?
Well, normally we don't need the net HTTP or the init, right? Normally all you would need to do would be just say func main fmt print line.
This is for our web server. So
Oh.
remember
So-
our website stuff.
Yeah, so init's new, and it'll help maybe if we just compare it to like a basic example, which we've been.
We've been using init for template loading.
So we would have func main, we'd have handle func, and listen and serve. You can't use func main in App Engine because that's used on Google's side. But you could use func init. So here in func init, and init runs at the beginning, at the initialization of any Go program. And so it's just setting route and HTTP handle func. That's cool. So we put our handle funcs in there, and then we have our handler, right? And so the handler is just this function, same signature. But we didn't need to do HTTP listen and serve because that's going to be taken care of by App Engine for us. So we don't need the HTTP listen and serve. We just do this. And then we're also going to need a configuration file, and that will be a YAML file. YAML stands for yet another markup language. And you just need these settings right here. Runtime Go, API version Go 1.
I thought the other version of that was YAML ain't another markup language or something along that lines because it's also a recursive one.
YAML ain't markup language. And then you could put handlers in here for different things, but these are just like default settings. So you put in you have something you want to say about it? Jump in.
Kind of. So
Go for it.
the YAML came about when App Engine was originally a Python only thing. So it's got a lot. So the YAML has actually got a few artifacts of back when it was a Python only
Bless you.
platform as a service. So runtime Go means you're using Go as your programming language. API version Go 1 basically means this is the first time. This is version 1 of Go on App Engine, which I believe is actually running Go 1.4 in the background. Eventually, they'll update to the latest version of Go, and then your API version will be Go 2 or Go whatever. But runtime is the language. API version is what App Engine version of it are you using, and the handlers are basically how does App Engine connect to your website, and that's where the biggest differences from Python occurred. With Python, you would have a separate handler for every path in your system. With Go, we've got our handle func, which is actually faster than a lot of other things out there. So you just tell it that everything goes to our Go app. Whereas Python's really slow, so the App Engine is actually faster at separating between the paths. So we'd use that
For your routing in
for
Python.
routing in Python. But again, with Go, we've got handle func, we've got our default serve mux, which is faster than their system. So we just say slash is a basic slash. Dot means any character, and asterisk means previous character 0 or more times. So basically, slash anything goes to the script, our Go app.
Well said. All right, so let's take a look. What do we have? App YAML. Got a little bit more in there. Runtime, API version, runtime, API version. You could also specify the name of your application and give it a version number.
So those two are needed if you're actually going to upload to run on their system instead of just localhost testing. Basically, so the application is the ID number that they'll give you for your own project, and then the versions, whatever you can put version whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a number; it can be text. Basically, if you want to have two different versions of your website running at once, you just put different versions in the app YAML right there. I think they actually recommend not using a number for internal testing purposes.
I was just about to ask, do you know if they fixed the bug with this where you changed it on your version, you upload it, but it doesn't quite reach the servers yet?
No, I
Because
don't think I ran into that.
there's internal version errors when it comes to that.
Yeah, I don't
They should have
think I ran into
hired you. All right, so init just goes to handler at the default, and then we have the response writer and the request, and then we're just printing out that
Right.
or writing W right.
Just calling the writer function
Yeah, that's weird.
directly.
I'm going to do
IO write string.
request and response, because that's what I've done throughout this entire course.
It must have been an artifact from your first version of doing it.
Yeah.
They copy paste from the GoLang website,
Oh, okay.
or at least GoLang uses W and R, but App Engine uses.
We were also
Prefers
using
to use
those the
W.
first time around.
Yeah, App Engine's defaults are the W and R. Again, back from Python, GoLang prefers the response and request with 3 letters.
What are your thoughts on that? Response right.
You should never call write directly because there's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. It may only write half of it, and you don't have the code
That's why I'm
necessary
getting
to
rid of
make it
that.
try to do the other half.
Hello world.
You use that print or IO write string instead.
Let's watch it run. So now instead of go run main, it's go app serve.
So keep in mind when you install the App Engine SDK for Go, you're going to have to add it to your path, just like when you installed Go itself, so that you can so that it can find Go app.
Ignore that error where there's too many files in your application for.
Bad bug.
I don't know why that comes up.
So that comes up because it's searching every file in your system, including all the packages you've downloaded with Go Get and everything, and it's scanning each file individually. And this little wimpy script is can only read so many files at once. It's trying to read every file, a Go file on your computer.
So I put the Go App Engine SDK right there. You can put it wherever you like. And in my environment variables,
Echo $path.
echo $path. Right here. Okay.
So also another thing, App Engine for Go, it does not actually say anywhere, but you need to have Python 2.7, 2 point at something installed for it to work. It will fail and give you random error messages if you do not have it installed. It does not say anywhere in the docs, but again, App Engine was originally a Python program, so the Go app program is actually running Python scripts internally, and so you need to have Python installed.
Which version, at least?
One of the version 2 versions. So 2.7, I think, is the current one. Do not get Python 3.0 or beyond. They broke backwards compatibility back then.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw it at one point somewhere, but
I completely forgot about that because I've always had it installed well before I did anything for you.
So yeah, don't install Python 3. Install Python 2.7, I believe is the latest 2 version.
so you can see now it's running. And the next thing, which is also in this tutorial, they've changed the tutorial, by the way, since the last time I've looked at it. You could upload an application. Create a Google account, visit the Google Cloud Platform console and click Create Project. So we'll go there.
Yes.
And home. They've changed this too. Where are my projects?
Go back where it says Learning to the right a little bit.
There we go.
Manage all projects.
So there are my different projects. I could go to Manage All Projects here. I could create a new project. And I have a project ID. It's Learning 1130. I'm just looking at my charges. I'm glad that I'm seeing zeros. So here in my YAML, I can change the application to Learning 1130.
As far as that's concerned, for the project IDs, you can let them generate one, or you can give them a unique one.
Like that whack a precedent there.
Yeah. That would have been funny if that had randomly been the one.
Yeah.
So that
Or-
should have been me winning the lottery.
Or you saw me using long-fun last week.
Long
Showing
dash
off-
fun.
When I was using showing off Jason.
So then I do a Go app deploy.
You reinstall that. You're behind in version.
I have been for ages too.
I got to install a new SDK.
Yeah, it's going from version 1.9.23 to 1.9.33. You got your 10 versions behind.
Shows you
10
last time I
bucks.
looked at it. So it just deployed that.
I am too, probably.
So now I could go to this place. That URL. And instead of your app ID, I need to actually put in my app ID.
And all of us can go there too if we want.
And you could all go
Open
there.
up your computer, take a look.
And then you can buy a domain at Google Domains. And like, you know, I've got all those. Fresno, radon, mitigation, and configure DNS. And then you just come in here and you say that this is a
An app engine.
app engine, right? And it just points to that app engine project ID. So my project IDs, that one was level chassis 87508. Level chassis 87508. So this domain now points there. So this is serving on App Engine.
And if you're cheap and find a really, really good URL on somewhere like GoDaddy, you can still do it, except you have to do it with domain masking instead, which brings its own issues in. If you're interested, I can tell you more about it. My website, alanmills.net, runs through GoDaddy through masking. So you don't have to use complete Google products if you don't want to.
I'm on the internet.
Should show off the Go app serves auto reload.
Which one?
Where Go app serves auto reload. You use Go app serve. You don't have to.
Oh, yeah. So when you use Go app serve to do local, so this is just going to be local. Go app deploy deploys it. Serve is just local.
And error. Unable to find because you're in a separate tab. You got it running in the other tab already.
Thanks. Go app serve. And I don't have to as I change things. I don't have to go run main again.
So Go app deploy is scanning all your Go files for changes. Whenever it finds a change, it just auto recompiles your server for you. So that's what the too many files is. It's saying it's too many files for it to scan everything. Luckily, the stuff in your project goes on the top of the list, so it still gets it.
So it's looking at all the files in your workspace,
Yes.
including third-party packages and stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not.
So
That's
it's,
like
I said, internally, it's using cheap Python stuff from years ago. So
yeah.
Can this method be used to substitute the DigitalOcean?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, to substitute the DigitalOcean? No.
homework.
That's for you to learn about setting up a box at DigitalOcean. Speaking of which, though, I'll give you some homework for this one. So, anybody have any questions? I know that was a little bit of a lackadaisical presentation. I apologize for that. I did 5 minutes of prep before class. And so I didn't have my whole game plan together quite as strong as I did on Monday. But on the upside, the good news is I've been getting full nights of sleep and exercise. Last semester was on no exercise, little sleep. It was hard. So after getting sick, it just kind of knocked me out. It's like, I just need my sleep. So apologies that wasn't more of a straightforward lecture. I think I even have a PowerPoint presentation that goes through what we just went through. But let's just summarize the main points from today, do a little bit of a review of what you all learned. And we learned HTTPS. So that's one of the main takeaways. And TLS is the way you do HTTPS today, not SSL. And when you want to develop on the developer side just locally with HTTPS, you could run that little chunk of code to generate a certain key, which allows you to, just do your own development locally. If you want to get a signed certificate, you just go out there and look for the websites that offer signed HTTPS certificates. And, Start SSL offers one for free. So that was one of the big takeaways. We saw the photoblog thing using Gorilla. That was kind of interesting, right? Just some code in there. And then the other main takeaway is App Engine. So to run App Engine, step 1, and let's just make a little list here. README is the folder. Steps. Let's do steps.txt. So step 1, install Python 2.7. Step 2, install App Engine SDK for Go. And let me get you the URL for that. Well, that might give me a different URL. Sometimes they do that.
You got all of those redirections.
Step 3 is put app in create path variable to app engine SDK. You can put app engine SDK wherever you like. I think that's on the line above. You guys ever, like, you have shortcut keys where if you think about it, you can't remember what it is, but if you don't think about it, you just do it?
Yeah.
Funny. So create a path variable to App Engine SDK. And App Engine code, no func main. Use func init to determine what do you call those routes? To set routes, right? Handle route deal thing. So no func main, do those. And then what else would you add in? Would you add anything in there, Daniel, or anybody else? What am I leaving out? Anything?
You got this
YAML.
spelling on Engine.
The app.yaml.
Oh yeah, thanks. And then notes about that. Notes about app.yaml. Runtime, API version, handlers. I liked some of what you said. Would you include any of that? What would we include? The URL. Explain the URL again.
So the URL is regex. So regex, most symbols in regex are have a different meaning than their flat symbol. So / is just a /, but dot and asterisk both have a different meaning. So dot means any character.
And the asterisk just means
asterisk
repeat
means
that.
previous character 0 or more times.
And all that's pretty well documented. You
So
can find it
that's
pretty easily.
this is pretty generic regex. So you can find regex all over the web for anything. But
Okay. An application set to your App Engine or your Google Developer Console app ID.
App Engine is free up to a certain limit, but the limit is high enough that you can probably have like a couple hundred visitors, general purpose visitors, without having to pay for anything. And you're not giving them your credit card information, so they won't charge you, even if you do. They'll just stop your server if you're going over that limit. So you don't have to worry about that.
And you can set the limit pretty small. I think I've got mine at $5. If for any reason at all it charges more than it charges $5, all the paid services just stop.
Yep, and you start getting errors returned instead.
And then we have Go App Serve, serves locally. And we have Go App Deploy, deploys to App Engine. View your app here once deployed.
So Compute Engine is like DigitalOcean. You get a Linux box. Container Engine, you tell it how to set up your Linux box, but it will deal with all the basics down below. App Engine is only for websites. You can't do whatever you want on it. It's just for websites. But they give you like everything, including databases and access to all Google stuff for your website. They will also duplicate App Engine depending on your needs. If you've got like several thousand people visiting you all at once, they may have 2 servers running your website instead of just 1. Since App Engine, all you're giving them is your website, they can configure it as they wish.
And sometimes Go App Deploy acts wacky. And so when Go App Deploy acts wacky, then I think that sets it, and then it'll work after that. Is that right?
So yeah, that's the Python script that it's actually Go App Deploy is actually using internally to actually do the uploading.
The minimal version of that one is just app configure.py, update, and the path of what you want to submit. The rest of that it'll read from app.yaml.
You don't need the -a or -p. Let's see what he said.
So you're saying we don't need that or this?
For the V1 or the your project ID, you just say app config, update, and then dot for the current folder.
Yeah, because if you have your app.yaml, it'll do the rest of that.
Yeah, time's up.
Cool. Well, I got some work to do before Monday.
Yeah. Gotta remember how some of this stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the joy of having completed projects. And for you, you got everything here. It's too bad you really don't get notified for views and visits on your GitHub repo. I'd really be interested in seeing just how many visitors you got. You certainly have enough, like LinkedIn. You certainly get enough stars.
Oh, do I? Haven't
I'm
looked.
pretty sure you've got stars and
I've got like 6 or 7 on my
Yeah.
DigitalOcean one alone.
It's usually the Mac.
yeah, go lane training. 323
Yeah, last semester,
stars.
Going training, last semester's thing, 323.
Well, I've had 4,000 students using it. Golang Web's got 11 and 4 forks. That's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know who's done that.
129 forks on Golang training.
Wow.
That's probably as Udemy students.
Yeah.
I just clone it. I'm not gonna
up, man?
upload anything. So.